Hi, fellow believers in Christ. When I was young, I wasn't allowed to do hardly anything that a normal child would want to do. And I remember that there was a bicycle a neighbor had. I was never given a bicycle, but a neighbor had a bicycle. And me and some of the other kids were all taking turns riding it around the block. And I was told that I was only allowed to ride it up and down the street, but I could not go around the block. And that was just one example of the hundreds and hundreds of times that I was told I couldn't do something. When I was, I think around 7 years old, I was told that I was not allowed to accept any candy or food from my friend's mom. So even if I was at a neighbor's house and or standing in their yard and the mom came out and offered me an ice cream cone or a sucker, I had to say no thank you. And I always did that because I was terrified of the trouble I'd be in if I accepted anything. Even though logically I knew that my grandma would never find out, I still was terrified of disobeying her, even though I knew she wouldn't find out if I didn't tell her. So it was kind of like a puritanical upbringing, and I got in trouble for loads and loads of things that I never did. Now, my grandma loved me, so don't get me wrong. She actually loved me. She was raising me the way that she was raised. But the point is, it was so strict, so restricting. It was almost like I can think of it now as like having a belt tied around you or being in a straitjacket all the time. I remember one time my grandma took me to get a permanent in my hair, and I was sitting in the chair, and the lady who was doing my hair, she left the chemical on too long, and I guess she put too much chemical on my head, on my hair, and literally the skin on my scalp was burning. It was really burning, and I was in intense pain. And the lady kept asking me if I was all right, and I kept saying yes, because I knew that if I complained, that was another thing. When I was growing up, I got in massive trouble if I ever said I'm hungry, I'm hurting, and I never complained because I knew I'd get in trouble for that. So, but I got accused of complaining a lot. So when I was sitting in that lady's chair at the beauty salon, and my head is just, it felt like my skin was just burning right off of me, and I was almost in tears, but holding it back. The lady asked at least twice if I was okay, and I said yes. And finally, the lady just knew by intuition that I had to be uncomfortable. So she finally said, "You know, I know your head is burning. I'm going to rinse it off." And then she said I should have said something. But see, the thing is, my grandma was sitting in the salon with me the whole time. She was sitting right behind me in another chair. And so I don't remember what she said, but basically the reason I couldn't tell the lady that I was in excruciating pain was because that was not allowed. You don't tell people you're in pain. So anyway, my childhood was so restrictive that as an adult, I just kept that, and it became a demonic oppression over me, and I didn't even realize a lot of the times when I was not doing stuff that I could easily have had permission to do. And there were so many times where I just didn't step out in faith, even as a born again Christian. I've been waiting and hoping and dreaming and wishing and asking the Lord to let me have a ministry and to let me serve him. And just this other day, when I was reading some study material in my class, because I'm taking Bible classes now, and I was reading some study material and on Christian formation, which means developing your spiritual life. And it touched me really, really hard. And the Lord spoke to me in it, and he said, this is what he said. He said, "You don't need permission. Permission was given you on the cross." And that's going to be my motto for a while. It's going to be my theme for a while. The permission was given to me on the cross. I don't need to ask anymore if I can please do something. I don't need to ask if I can serve the Lord. I don't need to ask if He'll give me His faith. He already has. I just need to exercise it. I don't need to ask for opportunities. They're all around me everywhere I go. I don't need to ask for Jesus to be with me. He's with me all the time. He's always there. I just haven't seen it because I've had this restriction, kind of like a spiritual straitjacket on, where I don't even know I'm free and I am actually free. So anyway, that was just a big, huge thing. And that's my testimony for today. I would love to give a gospel lesson, but I have so much homework. I haven't really come up with a gospel lesson lately. But anyway, but in the future I will. But I felt like that testimony was just really important to share. If you have any kind of spiritual straitjacket on for any purpose, wherever it came from, however it demonically came into your life, just pray against it and just rebuke the devil and thank God for all that He's already given you, that you already have in Christ. And I think it's the book of Ephesians tells you everything that you already have in Christ. And that's a good book for me to meditate on. I've meditated on it a little bit, but I need to go back and meditate on it some more, because almost every verse in that book tells us what we already have been given by Christ on the cross. It was done before we were even born. The permission was given. So for anybody who's waiting for their ministry to begin, or waiting for a touch from Jesus, or waiting for gifts, just believe and receive. We already have all that stuff. And I've been a new person for the last few days, but I still need practice because the old habits are very ingrained, and I keep catching myself doing things as I did before. So it might take a little bit of time for me to get good at living this new way that I now know is the way I'm supposed to live, that I now know is reality. So I still have to practice, but I know that it is reality. That there's no reason not to act in faith and not to go and do whatever He has put that desire in my heart to do. So hope that bless you.